Hi, sailors. Welcome to another edition of Start Sailing Now from SpinSheet Magazine. We're here with Matt Smith, who's going to tell us about his experiences getting into sailing. So, welcome, Matt.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I know you got into sailing as an adult, kind of a midlife thing, I guess we'd say. And so, tell us about what inspired you to take up sailing.
Well, I think it's like a lot of people who get into sailing, they look for that escape from some sort of part of their life that they don't like. And I guess it's the same way that I started, was looking for escape from the unhappiness that I had in the real world, we'll say. So I started watching some YouTube channels when sailing started becoming popular. And actually, before the YouTubes, it was even some handwritten blogs that were very popular back in the day. And I started watching some of those and realizing that you could just kind of live off by yourself and be nice and peace and quiet and not have all the distractions of the real world.
One of the things I find fascinating is that you were watching the blogs and vlogs before you even started setting foot on a boat yourself and were inspired. I want to get to racing because that sounds a little different than the simplicity and the minimalistic living, which is definitely part of the cruising world. But before that, so you basically have no sailing experience and you decide to buy a boat. Tell us a little bit about boat ownership for someone that's never owned a boat but might be interested.
Well, you either have to be rich or you have to be handy, one or the other, to own a boat. So when I got into this, I had got divorced, and then I went out and I said, you know what, I want to buy a sailboat. And I want to do this. So I just went out and bought a boat. I bought a boat from the Deltaville Maritime Museum. It was a donated boat, and I paid $2,200 for it. It was an old Watkins 27, and learn how to sail. Like teach myself how to sail. I felt like I'd read a lot about sailing. I'm the type who just researches the heck out of whatever they want to do, learns about it, and then tries to do it. So I figured I'll buy the boat, make it work, and teach myself.
There's often people start with formal sailing courses, but a large percentage of people don't. Any advice for people that are taking that path to learning?
Just get out there and do it. Like learn it. Buy your own boat. It's totally different when you own your own boat versus when you sail on somebody else's boat or you're learning to sail on one of those ASA courses. Because when you own your own boat, you're responsible for every part of that boat, and you got to know what's working and what's not working.
All right, so tell me about the iPad. What do you use your iPad for on the boat?
Navionics, of course. It's the
Uh-huh.
best navigation app out there. I have it on my iPhone and my iPad, so I got a little bit of redundancy in case one battery dies. I use a little RAM mount, and the great thing about it is you can take it everywhere you go. I've charted down the USVIs, and I brought that with me because you never know the status of the chart plotter on a boat you're going on. I take it on a friend's boats. I take it on my mom's little power boat in Florida. It's just always with you. It always has accurate charts. You can always navigate from it. I've navigated down the Potomac in the dark, pitch black dark, with just my iPad.
So tell me a little bit about what captured your imagination with the race course.
Well, I got into racing because I'm a very competitive person. I used to play Monopoly with my parents all the time. I'd want to play any game, right? And I just like the idea of I could go out there with a really cheap boat, go out there and race, and with the handicap system, I could still do fairly well. You're not necessarily going to lose every race because you have the cheapest boat. And if you ever want to sail your boat and go cruising, the best way to learn how to sail your boat is to race it. And there's so many people out there that race, that know how to race and know how to sail fast, that will come on your boat with you and teach you more about how to. And you can go on other boats and they'll teach you more about sailing there. So the thrill of racing at 5 or 6 miles an hour, is people always laugh. They're like, "You're racing your sailboat?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, we hit 5 knots the other day. It was amazing. We were flying." And they laugh at you because they're like 5 knots, right? Meanwhile, they're doing 40 knots in their power boat. But when you got two or three boats right alongside each other doing 5 knots and you're trying to eke out that extra tenth or 2/10 of a knot to get past them, then it's pretty exhilarating.
Some people keep notebooks with detailed logs of every time they go out and all the information around what's going on with your boat, what the weather is. Do you keep a log like that, a ship's log?
You, every time I come back from the boat, I say I should start one of those, but I don't. What I do have a Google sheet which I log all the days that I'm out on the boat, how many miles I did, approximately how many hours I sailed, because I want to keep that sailing log up to date so that when I eventually go to get my captain's license, I'll have a nice log of all the sailing that I've done on my boat and approximate number of miles that I've done. But yeah, that would be like a guest book at an Airbnb. That would be a fantastic thing to do. But the reality is, when you get back from sailing, oftentimes it's quickly put everything away and head over to Skipper's Pier for a beer.
Yeah, I hear that. What's up? What other advice would you have for someone that's interested in starting to sail?
Now, the thing that what I would suggest if you wanted to get into sailing also, go walk the docks. Go People love talking about their boats, at least the people that you wanna talk to, but most people will happily have you aboard, show you around their boat, maybe even ask you out for sale if you're that interested in doing so. I'm the biggest advocate for my marina because I love it. I mean, the marina totally changes your outlook on what you're doing. But I'm at Harrington Harbor North, and it's a fantastic marina because there's a nice pool. Everyone's social. Everyone's like us. They got 9 to 5 jobs. They come out on the weekends. They go sailing. They go racing on Wednesday nights. They come out at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and get their boat all ready. And then Thursday morning they're back to work. I work from the boat remotely on Wednesdays just so I can go racing. So find a good marina though. Don't skimp on a marina and go to some marina that's a working marina that most people don't come out there on the weekends and hang out with. It's one of the best parts about sailing is the people that you meet while you're doing this. And I've met a ton of friends who have similar boats or similar interests, and yeah, it's just been fantastic.
Thank
Really.
you. Thank you very much for sharing your story.
Sure.